A single U.S. aircraft carrier holds more firepower than most countries' entire military arsenals. But the weapons you see on the surface are just the beginning. Hidden beneath the flight deck and built into the island structure are defensive systems so advanced they can vaporize incoming threats in seconds. Some use technology that sounds like science fiction, lasers that never run out of ammunition, electromagnetic launchers, and drone-hunting missiles that cost less than a tank of gas. The Navy doesn't advertise these systems. Most people don't even know they exist. Today, you're about to discover the hidden arsenal that makes American carriers the most feared weapons platforms on Earth. Introduction. When you think of aircraft carriers, you probably picture fighter jets taking off and landing. But what protects the carrier itself? How does a ship worth $13 billion defend against swarms of drones, hypersonic missiles, and submarine attacks? The answer lies in a sophisticated web of weapon systems that most people never see. The U.S. Navy operates 11 nuclear-powered supercarriers. Each one serves as a mobile airbase carrying around 65 aircraft and over 4,000 crew members. These vessels can operate for 20 years without refueling and launch planes from anywhere on the planet without needing permission to use foreign airfields. But all that capability means nothing if the carrier gets sunk. That's why the Navy has invested heavily in defensive weapons that create multiple layers of protection. What do you think is the most impressive weapon system on a carrier? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The Visible Guardians. Let's start with the weapons you can actually see. Every Nimitz-class carrier is equipped with 2 to 3 phalanx close and weapon systems. These automated gun turrets look like R2-D2 from Star Wars, but they serve a deadly serious purpose. Each phalanx contains a 6-barrel 20mm Gatling gun that fires 4,500 rounds per minute. That's 75 bullets every second. The system operates completely autonomously. It uses radar to detect incoming missiles, calculates their trajectory, and opens fire without human intervention. The guns are designed as a last line of defense. When everything else has failed and a missile is seconds away from impact, the phalanx springs into action. It creates a wall of lead between the threat and the ship, essentially shredding the incoming projectile before it can hit. Each phalanx mount holds 1,550 rounds, giving it roughly 20 seconds of continuous firing time. The ammunition consists of tungsten penetrator rounds that punch through missile bodies and detonate their warheads safely away from the ship. Right next to the phalanx mounts, you'll find the rolling airframe missile launchers. These cylindrical boxes hold 21 infrared-guided missiles, specifically designed to intercept incoming anti-ship missiles. Unlike the guns, RAM missiles can engage threats at longer ranges, up to 5 nautical miles away. What makes RAM special is its dual-mode guidance system. During the initial phase, it homes in on radio frequency emissions from an incoming missile's guidance system. As it gets closer, it switches to infrared tracking, locking onto the heat signature. This makes it extremely difficult to jam or confuse. Then there's the Evolved Sea Sparrow missile. These are larger, more sophisticated interceptors designed to engage aerial threats at medium ranges. Each ESSM is 11 feet long and uses semi-active radar homing to track targets. They accelerate to over twice the speed of sound and feature advanced maneuvering capabilities that allow them to intercept highly agile targets. But here's what most people don't realize. Carriers themselves carry only defensive weapons. They're not bristling with long-range missiles or artillery. The offensive punch comes entirely from the aircraft wing and the escort ships. The Navy learned long ago that carriers are too valuable to risk in direct combat. Their job is to launch planes, not exchange fire with enemy vessels. The Invisible Shield. Now we're getting into the systems that don't make the promotional videos. Every modern carrier is equipped with electronic warfare suites that can jam enemy radars, confuse incoming missiles, and intercept communications. The ANSLQ-32 electronic warfare system is the carrier's primary defensive electronic countermeasure. It can detect, classify, and jam enemy radar emissions across a wide frequency spectrum. When an enemy radar locks onto the carrier, The SLQ-32 immediately identifies the type of threat and deploys appropriate countermeasures. It can either jam the radar directly or deploy chaff, clouds of metallic strips that create false radar returns. Modern versions incorporate machine learning algorithms that can identify new threat signatures and develop countermeasures in real time. The system continuously updates its threat library based on intelligence gathered from around the globe. Carriers also deploy ANS-LQ-25 Nixie torpedo countermeasure systems. These are towed acoustic decoys that mimic the sound signature of the carrier. When a torpedo is detected, the Nixie is deployed on a long cable behind the ship. The torpedo homes in on the decoy instead of the actual carrier, while the ship takes evasive action. The newest carriers also feature the Surface Ship Torpedo Defense System, tested successfully in 2013. This combines passive detection with active countermeasures. It launches a countermeasure anti-torpedo, essentially a small torpedo designed to seek out and destroy the incoming weapon before it reaches the ship. Before we go further, take just a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch without subscribing. It doesn't cost anything, but helps us keep bringing you content like this. Your support means everything. The electromagnetic revolution. Here's where things get really interesting. The newest Ford-class carriers have replaced steam-powered systems with electromagnetic technology. The most visible example is the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS. Instead of steam catapults, Ford-class carriers use linear motors to launch aircraft. Electromagnetic coils create a powerful magnetic field that accelerates a shuttle along a track. The aircraft goes from 0 to 170 miles per hour in less than 300 feet. The acceleration is smoother than steam catapults, which reduces stress on aircraft airframes and extends their service life. EMALS can launch everything from heavy aircraft to lightweight drones, all from the same system. The system has already performed over 9,000 launches aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford, with impressive reliability. Ford-class carriers also use electromagnetic advanced arresting gear for recovering aircraft. Traditional systems use hydraulics and cables. The new AAG system uses electromagnetic braking, which reduces stress on aircraft and allows for recovery of a wider variety of aircraft types. Then there are the advanced weapons elevators. Instead of hydraulic elevators, Ford-class carriers use electromagnetic motors. These elevators move faster, carry heavier loads, and break down less frequently. They can transport weapons directly from deep storage to the flight deck in minutes instead of hours. All of this electromagnetic technology serves a larger purpose. Ford-class carriers generate 3 times more electrical power than Nimitz-class ships, 13,800 volts compared to 4,160 volts. This massive power surplus isn't just for the systems already installed, it's for the weapons coming next. Laser weapons ARE here. The Navy has been working on directed energy weapons for decades, and they're finally reaching operational status. In 2014, the Navy deployed the laser weapons system aboard the USS Ponce. This 33-kilowatt laser successfully engaged drones and small boats during testing in the Persian Gulf. When the laser engages a drone, it focuses its beam on a critical component, usually the engine or fuel tank. Within seconds, the intense heat causes catastrophic failure. The drone catches fire and drops from the sky. The entire engagement costs approximately $1 per shot. That was 10 years ago. Today's laser systems are far more powerful. The high-energy laser with Integrated Optical Dazzler and Surveillance System, or Helios, generates 60 kilowatts of power and is already installed on destroyers that escort carriers. This system integrates directly with the ship's Aegis combat system. Helios can track and engage multiple targets simultaneously. It uses adaptive optics to compensate for atmospheric distortion. The system has a range of over 6 nautical miles and can engage everything from small drones to anti-ship missiles. Lockheed Martin is currently developing 150 kilowatt versions, with 300 kilowatt systems planned for the near future. The Navy's ultimate goal is to deploy lasers powerful enough to destroy hypersonic missiles. Current research focuses on reaching 1 megawatt of power. Northrop Grumman completed preliminary design work on such a system in 2022. Ford-class carriers were designed with the electrical capacity to support these future laser systems. Within the next decade, carriers may carry multiple laser systems capable of engaging threats at various ranges and altitudes. Why does this matter? Traditional missile defense is expensive. A single SM-2 interceptor missile costs $2.1 million. An SM-6 costs $3.9 million. During operations against Houthi forces in the Red Sea, Navy ships fired over 200 interceptor missiles in just a few months, costing hundreds of millions of dollars. Laser weapons cost about $1 per shot and never run out of ammunition as long as the ship has power. The drone hunters. Here's something the Navy just started deploying this year: dedicated anti-drone systems. The USS Gerald R. Ford's 2025 deployment includes 2 new weapon systems specifically designed to counter cheap, expendable drones. The first is the Coyote Drone Interceptor. This is essentially a drone designed to hunt other drones. It launches from a tube, deploys wings, and uses autonomous guidance to track and destroy enemy drones. Each Coyote costs around $125,000, still expensive, but far cheaper than using SM-2 missiles against $2,000 drones. The second system is called Roadrunner. This is a twin-jet autonomous interceptor that can detect, track, and engage targets at extended ranges. The fascinating thing about Roadrunner is that it's reusable. If it doesn't engage a target, it can return to the ship and land vertically, then be refueled and relaunched. These drone hunting systems represent a fundamental shift in naval warfare. For decades, the threat came from expensive, sophisticated missiles. Now carriers face swarms of cheap drones that can be launched from small boats or pickup trucks. Traditional missile defenses work perfectly against sophisticated threats, but they're economically unsustainable against disposable drones. The new systems restore the economic balance. The AIM-174B surprise. In 2024, the Navy quietly deployed a new long-range air-to-air missile called the AIM-174B. This weapon is actually a modified SM-6 surface-to-air missile adapted for launch from FA-18 Super Hornets. The exact range remains classified, but estimates suggest it exceeds 200 miles. Why does this matter? Chinese and Russian long-range anti-ship missiles pose a serious threat to carriers. The AIM-174B extends the defensive bubble around carriers by allowing fighters to intercept enemy bombers and reconnaissance aircraft before they can launch attacks. The missile is large, about 22 feet long and weighing over 3,300 pounds. Navy fighters can now engage targets at distances previously reserved for strategic air defense systems. This fundamentally changes the calculus for any adversary planning to attack a carrier strike group. The deployment happened with minimal fanfare. Photos emerged showing Super Hornets armed with the new missiles during exercises, but the Navy provided few details. The weapon exists, it's operational, and potential adversaries now have to account for it in their planning. The Carrier Strike Group. It's crucial to understand that carriers never operate alone. They deploy as part of a carrier strike group, typically including destroyers, cruisers, and support vessels. This creates a layered defense system where each ship contributes specific capabilities. The cruisers and destroyers carry the Aegis Combat System, which provides long-range air and missile defense. They carry dozens of vertical launch cells loaded with various missile types. When a threat is detected, these escort ships usually engage first, destroying targets before they get within range of the carrier's defensive weapons. Attack submarines typically accompany carrier groups, though they operate independently. Their job is to screen ahead of the formation, detect enemy submarines, and eliminate them before they can launch attacks. The carrier itself serves as the command center for this entire force. The ship's Combat Direction Center coordinates actions by all units, manages air operations, and communicates with shore-based commanders. Future weapons. The weapons we've discussed are impressive, but they're just the beginning. The Navy is actively developing next-generation systems that will make carriers even more capable. Railguns are one possibility. These use electromagnetic energy to launch projectiles at hypersonic speeds. A railgun can fire a 30-pound projectile over 100 miles at speeds exceeding Mach 7. The projectile destroys targets purely through kinetic energy. Free electron lasers represent another leap forward. Unlike current solid-state lasers, FEL systems can generate megawatt-class beams with greater efficiency. These systems could potentially shoot down ballistic missiles or destroy satellites. The technology exists in laboratories but hasn't yet been miniaturized for shipboard use. Artificial intelligence is being integrated into defensive systems at every level. AI can process sensor data faster than humans, identify threats in cluttered environments, and make engagement decisions in milliseconds. Additive manufacturing is coming to carriers. Future ships will carry sophisticated fabrication equipment that can produce replacement parts and weapons components while at sea. This would dramatically reduce dependence on shore-based logistics. Conclusion. The weapons on U.S. aircraft carriers represent multiple layers of defense working together to protect one of the most valuable military assets in existence. From the visible gun mounts to the invisible electronic warfare suites, from proven missile systems to cutting-edge laser weapons, everything exists for one purpose: ensuring the carrier and its crew can complete their mission and return home safely. These systems didn't appear overnight. They're the result of decades of research, testing, and operational experience. They evolve constantly as new threats emerge. The Navy invests billions in carrier defense because carriers remain the most flexible, powerful tool for projecting American military power around the globe. Understanding these defensive systems gives you a fuller appreciation of what these ships represent and why they continue to serve as the centerpiece of American naval power. Our servicemen and women operate these systems with incredible skill and dedication, keeping our nation safe every single day. If you found this valuable, hit that like button and subscribe for more military technology content.